It had been nearly a year since the home invasion, but investigators seemed no closer to solving the case.
Someone called and they very kind of snidely said to me, "Oh, did your husband tell you he failed his polygraph?"
Flunked a lie detector? Tracy says she assumed there must be some kind of explanation and waited for Michael to tell her about the results himself.
We get into bed, I'm expecting this is when we're going to talk, right? He rolls over and goes to sleep. And I'm laying in bed, like, what's going on here?
Tracy thought how little she really knew about her second husband and what he was capable of. They'd met online and then gotten married 18 days after their first face-to-face meeting.
Who is Michael?
I don't know. I really don't know. I wish I knew. Because when we were together, when we were having problems, I honestly still believed that he loved me, you know?
Tracy started to grapple with the idea that it was Michael, her current husband, and not Dr. John Pittman, her ex, who might have been behind the home invasion plot. And the way Tracy pieced it together, Michael had motive too. In 2001, the Roberts computer business was in trouble. Had he seen Tracy's death as an easy way to get his hands on some cash? After all, they had millions of dollars worth of life insurance policies. In 2004, nearly 3 years after the home invasion, the Roberts marriage imploded. Michael filed for divorce. Tracy filed for an order of protection against him. The sheriff saw the rift between husband and wife as an opportunity.
When they got divorced, really that's where we figured out we would know if Michael Roberts was involved or not.
But the sheriff would be disappointed. As ugly as the Roberts divorce became, it didn't yield any clues about the home invasion. The investigation went cold. And then as suddenly as she'd arrived in small-town Iowa, Tracy up and left. She'd moved with her children to Omaha, Nebraska. New town, new job, she even changed her name.
In reality, she needed to get away from Michael. I mean, he still was harassing her all the time.
He's not past tense.
He's still making it life hard for her.
The other mother in this story, Dustin's mother, was also long gone from early Iowa. She'd taken Dustin's sisters to live in Minneapolis after her husband, their father, committed suicide in the cemetery where Dustin was buried.
He went there and he put a bullet in his heart and left notes saying, "I cried every day since December 13th.
But what a stark world you were looking at on your husband's death.
Yeah, it was very horrible.
How'd you pull yourself together?
I buried stuff, I hid it, put up walls, closed doors. Tried to tell myself it's a horrible nightmare and I'm gonna wake up.
The worst part of the nightmare, that she felt so alone. Mona was consumed with questions she felt no one else cared about. Instead of wondering about the identity of the mysterious second intruder or who'd masterminded the attack, she wanted to know what had really happened to her son that night.
Was there any way that you could put him in the house up to no good?
No. I just said there's no way possible.
For starters, Mona said her son wasn't the scary hair-trigger misfit described by Tracy. His mother knew a Dustin with a sweet smile masking a little sadness, not a killer. Sure, this kid who could entertain his family with goofy Elvis impersonations didn't really connect to outsiders. That's why he treasured his relationship with the Roberts family. No way would he have wished them harm.
They were my friends. They befriended him. Dustin was like, "I got a friend." No, he's not gonna go down there and go, "Oh, I think I'll kill you today."
Common sense told Mona there was something wrong with the very idea that Dustin had been a hitman for hire on that night.
He parked in front of the house. He had no gun. He had no knife.
But hadn't Dustin ripped off a Roberts family computer? They'd found it in his car.
You're gonna tell me that my son went into the house that's full of Dells and Gateways, and he went upstairs in the corner of the bedroom and picked up a Packard Bell, obsolete piece of junk.
It's an old beater computer.
Useless computer, went out, loaded it in his car, packed it in nice and neat, then went back in the house and went upstairs to get killed?
Mona knew there had to be a better explanation. Maybe Dustin had stumbled in on someone else trying to kill Tracy. Mona peppered investigators with questions.
I kept asking questions and I got funny answers. And they just plain simple said, her story fits the evidence. And I'm just like going, no, it doesn't.
Mona knew Tracy's story didn't add up, but it was a conversation with the town's funeral director that made her think Tracy might be deliberately misleading police, that she had something to hide.
He told me that Dustin was shot 3 times in his underarm, 2 times in his hip, and at that point 4 times in the back of his head. And I went, what?
The violence of Dustin's death overwhelmed her. Mona now believed not only that Tracy's story of self-defense was bogus, not only that her son was innocent of any crime the night of the home invasion, she now believed Dustin had been murdered, targeted.
So it's an execution he walks into. Is that the way you see it?
Totally. She killed him. She killed him.
But years after the attack, she felt as though there was no one to listen to her.
You know, I felt like my hands was tied because I couldn't do the investigation. I couldn't do anything, and I was so sad because my son's file was just sitting on a shelf. And I'm like, how long is that going to sit there? Will there ever be a day of justice?
Little did she know that a new investigator was about to change everything.